Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. This is the 2023 GMC Yukon SLT, and in today's video, we're going to give the information to you to see if we can answer the question, is the SLT trim level offering the best bang for the buck when it comes to the Yukon lineup? The exterior color on this model is Summit White. It has a jet black interior, and there are a lot of great features, a lot of great functionality here for the price, that's for sure. Do the features match the price? Well, we're going to find out. If you're curious to know more about this particular model outside of the jokes, check out the link down in the description of the video. I borrowed this model from my friends at Morgan Buick GMC here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And if you are one of those people that says, Tom, show us the window sticker, there is the window sticker. If you would like to pause the video, right now is the time to do it. Let's take a little bit deeper look into what this model offers. One thing that we can definitely say about the Yukon is that it has an aggressive, yet a bit of an elegant, even sporty look to it, especially here on this particular trim level. There's a few things that will definitely help that to stand out. We will have the chrome accent, the chrome grille. I think there's a nice balance here if you like chrome. Obviously below the GMC logo right here, you're going to have your forward-facing camera. Now what you won't see in this case is a front camera washer. A lot of you might not even worry about that, but in case you're curious about it, no, it's not here. LED lighting is found everywhere you look here on the SLT trim level. LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, LED fog lights down here on the lower portion of the bumper. And the flickering effect you see with the lights right there, that has to do with the camera that I'm using to film the video. That's a common thing you'll see with a lot of these videos on YouTube. I don't know how many people actually explain that, but no, you cannot actually make the lights do that. It's not a defect, whether it's on the exterior or the interior of the vehicle, just so you know. And this model is two-wheel drive, but you can get it in four-wheel drive if you so desire. And tire and wheel size, 275 will be the width, plenty of meat on the ground front and rear, a 50 series sidewall wrapped around the black 22-inch wheels. Now I know I can give all my opinions I want to. Ultimately it comes down to what you think that really matters. But in my opinion, I think the black wheels are perfect with this model, with this trim, or excuse me, with this exterior color. But tell me what your thoughts are. GMC badging obviously is going to be all over the vehicle. I think it's appropriately placed here on the fenders, the Yukon logo, and there is some more of that chrome trim. And we'll find the power adjustable side view mirrors, turn signal indicators built in. They will have the body colored mirror caps. You will also find your blind spot monitoring right here. These are not only power adjustable, but also power folding side view mirrors. You can see the camera down there. There are cameras all over this model. So let's do this. We're going to go in here. I'm going to turn the lights off just so we don't hear that dinging. But if you push this button, you'll also find that these are power folding side view mirrors. So if you were curious about that, well, now you know. And here on the SLT trim level with this model, we are going to have the affixed in place steps. They're not the power steps. Tell me what you think. What would you choose? Would you rather have these affixed in place side steps or the power steps that deploy and go back under the vehicle depending on if the door's open or closed? And we'll have a combination here with a little bit of chrome and body color for the side or the door handles. Where else would you find the door handles but on the side of the vehicle, right? But if you're wondering what this button right here is, that's passive entry. And the good thing here is that it's not only on the front doors, it's also on the rear. When you walk up to the vehicle, if you have the remote on your person right here, you're going to be able to just push those buttons to lock and unlock all four doors. Parents might find that very useful on the rear doors because you're probably going to come here first, depending on the age of your kids, or maybe not depending on the age of your kids. They might be in their 20s and you still have to come there. You never know. Okay, it's all right to laugh. Yes, you do have a remote start here, and that's very easy to use. I know that's something that a lot of you like to see. You also have LED taillights to finish things off here. And personally, I like the clean look of this rear window. Why is it a clean look? Because you don't have a rear window wiper right here. It's tucked away inside of the rear roof spoiler. It just gives it a better look back here, at least in my personal opinion. And now that we've raised the hood, let's talk about what's under the hood. The 5.3 liter V8 in this particular case, its horsepower numbers come in at 355. The torque numbers come in at 383 pounds-feet. Made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission. And what are the MPGs like? Well, average, 15 city, 20 highway, 17 combined, 5.9 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. There's a lot of variables that go into potentially achieving those numbers. If you're curious, when it comes to filling up your gas tank, what exactly do you have to work with? 24 gallons. And when it comes to functionality, if you want to tow, you can tow up to 7,900 pounds. We're looking at 25.5 up to 122.9 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Before we show you all that information or show you what's in the interior and how to maximize that cargo capacity, I want to show you one thing. You will find that you have the power tailgate or power liftgate here that opens up. You can use the remote. There's a button on the liftgate itself. You can use a button on the interior, or you can use your foot. I like to swipe my foot. If it was dark enough out here, you'd actually see a GMC logo down there on the ground. But one thing I want to point out here about all of the different ways that you can open this, whether it's the remote or whatever you use, if you come to open this tailgate up or lift gate, whatever you want to call it, and it doesn't open, you still can open it manually, but the power function does not work. Let's take a look at what the problem is likely to be. This may not be it, but most of the time, this is what it's going to be. This button right here, this is what you actually use in the interior to open and or close that power lift gate. And it has a few different settings. You can set it to full, you can set it to 3/4, or it can be set to off. So depending on what you want to do, max 3/4. If it's set to off, turn that on, and most likely that's going to be the issue as to why that tailgate isn't opening. But the thing is, if your battery dies, you can still get into this area. You'll just open it manually, not a big deal. You can use the button that's right here. I'll show you as it comes down. It's right there. You'll just touch that button, push on that, and everything will open up and you will be good to go. And there is a spare tire that this model comes with. That's always good to know. More and more vehicles seem to be coming with tire repair kits these days. And you will find not only the tools here to change the tire, but also additional space right here. That's very useful. And let's talk about maximizing cargo capacity. So here's how it's going to work. You have the buttons here, to here, to here. These are for your middle seats. These are for the rear seats. So let's lower the seats here. We'll show you how quickly that happens. And the one thing I do want to show you, notice I took my fingers off. When you take your fingers off of those switches, the seats stop moving. Now, there is one little trick you need to know about. Sometimes this can be an issue. It depends on where these middle seats are set. So I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not, but what you would actually do is pull up on this lever, and that will actually allow you to move the seats forward a little bit. So now we'll be able to bring these seats all the way down. These are real life challenges you can run into, just so you can see what's here. See how easily that goes down. Now, we can also do that here, but the cool thing about the middle seats is we just push that, they go down on their own. The same issue could exist with the front seats. They may need to be moved forward depending on the situation. So that's the good news. Now, one thing to know back here, you cannot use the power function to bring the middle seats back up. You'll have to do that manually. With the rear seats, we're just going to push up right there and they will come up. And so in case you're curious about that, that is how it works. It's the same thing as what we did with lowering the seats. If you let go of the button or the buttons, they'll stop moving right where they are. Who knows? You might have a good reason to do that. You might want to leave them in that position. I don't know, just so you know what's there. And here is the power outlet that's available back here in the rear. That's always useful. And you can see from right here that we do have a panoramic sunroof. There is a power shade to put in place if you want to do that, if there's too much light and heat coming into the interior. And before we hop into the interior, let's take a look at some of the features here. Upper and lower door bins, plenty of space where that is concerned. We'll also have a nice large armrest here that is comfortable for your passengers. And one thing I did want to show here is the difference in where you can put the seats. So obviously the seat here on the left side or the driver's side is all the way back, and I've actually moved the passenger side seat over there all the way forward. And we showed what this lever does. Obviously that moves the seats back and forth. If you want to get the seats up and out of the way to make it easier to gain access to the third row for your rear seat passengers, they could use the pass-through right here, but that's what this is for. And then we push that again, and there we go. That gets up and out of the way. You can see the tracks that everything slides on right there. That just makes it a little bit easier to show you what's here. And we will take a look at our space. In the interest of fair reporting, here's how much leg space I have with the seat all the way back. We'll hop over here to the passenger side. I don't know how realistic it is for the seat to actually be this far forward if someone's sitting there, but just to show you, there is plenty of space. And at 5'10", I have room. And honestly, somebody over 6 feet could sit here and be pretty comfortable. So you have plenty of space in the rear seating area, and also plenty of space for cup holders, for drinks, for whatever goes right here, whatever anyone wants to put there. And USB connectivity. We'll find a mirror image of what we see right there over on the driver's side. And let me move back over here. I do want to show you something. Again, this is going to be on both sides. If for some reason somebody doesn't want to use the pass-through right here to get through and get out, they can push this button right here. It's going to work the same way. Push it once, push it a second time, and the seat gets up and out of the way. It makes it a lot easier to get out of the back seat. And we'll find a little more in the way of storage space with the rear seat pockets, cup holders on the rear of the center console, and the control center for the third zone of climate control. And you can turn that off, or your rear seat passengers can at least, on or off. And they will also find heated seats here in the middle row section. No ventilated seats. That would be helpful for those of us living in Northwest Louisiana. And there is the panoramic sunroof. Now you will notice that we have the shade drawn partially forward here, so you can see what that looks like. And for those who are saying, hey Tom, show us everything with the panoramic sunroof with the shade drawn back all the way. There you go. That's what it looks like. And yes, I can hear you. I promise. For those of you who said, show us what it looks like with the shade drawn forward. There you go. And when it comes to the passenger side and the front seat area, we're also going to see pretty much the same thing we saw in the rear seats with the rear doors. A nice large armrest, upper and lower door bins, and power seats for the driver and passenger, heated and ventilated. That's always a good thing, especially when you live in an area where the high is still 90 degrees plus in the middle of September in 2023. And here is the nice, roomy glove box area. You'll also find additional space here on the side of the center console. And I'll use the grab handle here that makes it very easy and convenient to hop inside. Now, one thing you won't find here is a sunglass holder. Well, you will find it. It's just not in the normal conventional spot. It's right here. And that's what this section is for. Technically, I guess you could say this section is a multitasker. You could use that to store, well, basically anything that would fit. And there is your hazard light button. If you're wondering about that, in this case, we're going to have the the 12 volt and USB connectivity, but there's your 12 volt, there's your two USB options, and the wireless charging pad. That's always good. The drink holders, and obviously a lot of space within the center console. Two more options for USB connectivity, and a lot of space deep within this area. You do have the removable tray right here. Depending on your situation, you can leave it there or take it out. And for those of you who are wondering about using remote start, I mentioned that earlier. You see how it just says ×2 right there? So we're going to push that twice. And the thing about that is that you don't have to lock the vehicle first. If it's not locked already, when you push that button twice, it will automatically lock for you. We'll just hold that button one time, you push it one time, and that shuts things back off. And earlier we did give you a quick glimpse of the driver's side door panel. You pretty much know what all is here. You can control those power adjustable side view mirrors, all 4 windows, and right here you have 2 settings for seating position, seat memory for the driver's seat. We have the controls down here for the exterior lighting and driving modes. Here is your power parking brake. Over here on the right hand side of the power parking brake, you can control some of the safety features. And if you're looking for your auto stop start feature, to turn that off, which I do recommend doing, it's better for your motor not to constantly start and stop, and it's not worth saving that 2 to 3% gas that you might save in leaving it on. So, adjustment here, the button for the power adjustable steering wheel, tilt and telescopically adjustable. And we'll hop on inside here and show you the animated graphics on the instrument cluster and that 10.2-inch diagonal touchscreen. Some of you say, I don't really care about that. Some of you do, but I'm going to show it to you just because, well, it's part of what you're paying for. And here is the digital instrument cluster or driver's display, depending on what you want to call it. And the good thing about it is that it's fully adjustable depending on what you want to do. If you want to make some changes to the way it looks, you can do that. And what I'm going to do is show you how to do that. So what we're going to do is hit the button right here. You're going to hit this right side arrow until you get to this screen, display layout. And you can see everything that you can change. If you're curious about that, well, there's everything that can be changed. And something that somebody asked me about a couple of days ago in a video, it was actually on a Silverado 1500, but it works the same way here, is can you get rid of the vehicle right here? In that case, it was a truck. In this case, it's a Yukon. And the answer is yes, actually you can. You can change that to a few different options, or if you want to, you can just click on none right there, and then that's what you have. Now, if you go through all of this and you make a lot of changes and say to yourself, man, I just don't like that very much, here is a quick way to deal with that. We're going to go all the way down here, right below software info, reset to default. It's going to ask if you do want to do that. We're going to hit the right arrow to go to yes, and then we will push on the scroll wheel right here, and there we go. Done. No big deal. Obviously, your steering wheel mounted controls are here. Here's how you're going to control not only the blinkers or turn signals on the exterior of the vehicle, for those of you who know what that feature is, but also the headlight, or excuse me, not the headlights and the taillights. I'm used to that being there on some vehicles. The front and rear window wipers. Boy, habits are bad when you form them like that. And we'll take a look at something here that I always like to get your opinion on. Here is the shifter. It is basically a push-pull shifter. Why do I say it's push-pull? Because you pull to go into reverse, you push to go into neutral, and you pull to go into drive, and you push to go back into park. Tell me what you think about that. Do you like it? Do you not? Doesn't matter. I'm always curious to know what your thoughts are. And by the way, this is a heated steering wheel. If you live in a colder climate, that could be beneficial. And here with this 10.2-inch touchscreen that we talked about earlier, a lot of features and functionality. Don't let it scare you off if you've never had a vehicle like this before. Very easy to use, especially once you learn it. Easy to figure out. You'll be glad you have it. You can wirelessly pair your phone here. You have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We do have the HD surround view camera, and you can see what we have here with our overhead view. You also have the front and rear cameras. I told you a little bit about that earlier. And you have that on a couple of different areas where you have 2 different options. See that? So what I'm doing is selecting that. I have the 2 different options. And we have the same thing here with the side view mirrors. As you can see, you can also see this little pad right here that's nice and comfortable. That's where you can rest your fingers and makes it easier to use this feature. You can also see what else is here as far as everything goes. It's very easy to use, very easy to figure out, and very effective. You don't have to be in reverse for that to work. That's a good thing. That's why you have camera right there. And We also have all sorts of features for trailering. Just anything you could imagine, you can change and deal with right here. Connections vehicle. I'm not going to show you every single thing that's here in great detail. I'm just going to show you what is here. You can go in with vehicle, and you have teen driver mode. Yes, that was a tongue twist. You can laugh. It's okay. Laugh at me, not with me. Rear seat reminder. You know, you really don't need that, right? But there are advantages to it being here. You might have an important document, a folder, your briefcase, a purse for you ladies, whatever it is, something that you need to remember to get out of the back seat area, that can help remind you of that. But you can turn that feature off if you want to. And let me go back to that screen so I can show you how to do that. There's how you do it. You can turn that off right there. I'm going to leave that on just because it is. If you want to turn off the buckle to drive feature, I don't recommend you drive without your seatbelt on. But if you're just driving around in a parking lot or you're moving from one place to another where you're not going to be out on the road, yeah, that's be nice to have this turned off. So that's nice to see. A lot going on here. And I told you that you had your collision detection systems here. You can go in and make some changes here, just like you can over there on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, just so that you see what all is here. Very easy to use, very easy to figure out. It looks nice, it looks modern. Obviously, we're not going to see any changes for 2024. We might see that for 2025. We'll wait and see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what GMC does in the future. In the meantime, we do have the tri-zone climate control. Dual zone here in the front, the third zone in the rear. All is adjustable. And as you can see right here, I told you earlier, you do have the ventilated seats. And you also have the heated seats. Not anything we need today, that's for sure. But just to show you what is here, pretty simple system to figure out. And for those who might be saying, hey Tom, what are the driving modes? Well, let's take a look at what the driving modes are. You have normal. You're also going to have sport. We'll go into snow and ice. Also tow haul mode. If you're going to be driving on a lot of snow and ice, I definitely would recommend you don't have the rear wheel drive version of this Yukon. Okay, we're going to get out on the road for a quick test drive with the Yukon. You know, it's a large SUV, a full-size SUV, so you're going to have some of those characteristics of a full-size SUV. But it still has a very comfortable ride quality. And one thing I did not mention earlier is that all three rows, which basically I showed you, especially in that third row, have ample space for your driver and for your passengers. A lot of room, not only in that respect, but also with cargo capacity. And the ride quality is comfortable. This is not a high-performance vehicle, so when you take corners, well, depending on how fast you go through the corner and how sharp the corner is, you may get some body roll. But like I said, that's just part of driving a full-size SUV. It is a very easy vehicle to drive. It's enjoyable to drive. And if you ever get in a really tight spot, well, you have all of those different camera angles that I showed you earlier that will make it so much easier to see what's going on, to make sure you don't damage your own vehicle first and foremost, or anybody's vehicle around you. And we'll take a quick turn right here. Obviously, you can go with the 6.2-liter V8, depending on what you want to do. We're going to see about our turning radius here. Does a good job. Now, obviously, you have to think a little bit. You saw how I turned the steering wheel before I actually started the turn. I went to full lock to the left. Had no trouble making the turn right there. A legal U-turn, by the way. But even with this 5.3-liter under the hood, it's going to get the job done. Plenty of horsepower, plenty of torque. The 10-speed automatic transmission most certainly doesn't hurt. A lot of great things going on here. Now, one thing we don't have here is going to be the rear view camera mirror. Some of you might like that, some of you might not. That is obviously an available option that you can have, especially depending on trim level. But it's there. It has its advantages. If you have a full load of passengers and you have 3 people sitting in that third row back there, well, that could be very helpful, because when you have that person sitting back there, it's going to block your view with the rear view mirror. But you can drive with your side view mirrors. It's not a big deal. It's not hard to do. It's not hard to learn to do. If they're set correctly, it makes it very easy to deal with. Plus, don't forget, you have your blind spot monitoring as one of those safety features. Overall, a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. When you need it to get up and go, it's going to get up and go. From merging into traffic, moving around slower moving vehicles when it's safe to do so, or whatever you may need. Maybe you need a spirited drive. I don't know. Who goes out and drives their Yukons on a spirited drive? Well, you never know. Somebody might be out there doing that if they're having a rough day or just want to have a little bit of fun. One way or another, it's a great vehicle. Tell me what you think about it. Okay. We've hit the major highlights here. Obviously, there's a lot we didn't necessarily show here, but we don't want to make this video 2 to 3 hours long because there is enough here to do that. Tell me what you think down in the comments section. Is the SLT trim level for the 2023 GMC Yukon the most bang for the buck when you compare it to other trim levels? Tell me what your thoughts are. And if you plan on buying one of these Yukons for 23 or 24, tell me what you want as far as your options, trim level. How do you plan to spec it out? I'm always curious to know. I do want to say a special thanks to my friends here at Morgan Buick GMC for loaning me this Yukon for the day, and a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and haven't subscribed to the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel just yet, please consider doing so. And if you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.